Next, we have 711, and I believe it will be Mr. Carter and Ms. Samick on this one. Consideration of the Classification, Compensation, Recruitment, and Retention Committee 2324 Reclassification Cycle Findings and Recommendations.
710. You said 711.
We are on 711. Did a change on my...
No, mine says 711 is CCRR.
Oh, and mine doesn't. Mine says 710.
Either way, we're in the ballpark.
Okay.
Ms. Samick?
Good afternoon, Pam Samick, HR Director. So today we are discussing the Classification and Compensation, Recruitment and Retention Committee recommendations for the 2324 reclassification request. I don't know if I should stop or jump in or there. Okay, go. All right. The assessor recorder submitted a request and justification that the committee did not agree with because it is a salary and not a reclassification request. I won't go into his complete justification because you guys have read that, plus a 2.5% advanced appraiser ad pay, which the committee did not agree with. So I don't know if you want to stop after each department or go through all.
I don't see any pens up, and no pens means move on.
Okay. Auditor Controller made a request to reclassify a position from a property tax coordinator to a property tax manager. The committee recommends that we approve this request because it is a reclassification request, and this is going from an hourly position to a management position.
And just to clarify, that means pulling a... are we pulling the classification or creating a new one and not pulling?
Pulling the classification because that old classification will no longer exist. It will be replaced by this manager role.
Okay, so we are pulling a classification out of one of the MOUs that we have a contract with.
Correct.
Okay. Just wanted to clarify.
Okay.
How many managers then are in that department now?
I would have to run a report. I don't know offhand, to be honest. Do you know offhand?
I do.
Okay.
So that would make the fourth position, but it'll be the third filled. So there's the elected, and then two chiefs, and then this property manager, property tax manager, sorry.
And an assistant that's not filled.
Correct.
Well, it's in there.
So theoretically, there's 5 available.
Behavioral Health made a recommendation to do all of their clinical RNs and counselors. This was not a reclassification, but a salary request. So the committee voted to deny this request because it's not reclassification. It's just a request for an increase of salary to all these positions.
Before you go any further, since we were requested, I'd like to go back one because we were asked to add the financial implications of these changes, and I believe that should be publicly stated even though it's in the memo. So for the property tax coordinator, the difference in salary is $18,844.80 a year, and then you do the PERS and FICA, so it would be a total of $24,677 difference year over year. So just want to make the public and your board aware.
Thank you.
Lars Ewan requested a reclassification from landfill manager, and the committee recommended approving this. Total cost for salary is $11,835.20. Total cost to the budget is $15,498.19. The Register of Voters asked to reclassify. Sure.
I just want to point out that in the second text box where the increase to the budget is shown, the title continues to be listed as landfill manager, but the actual proposed
solid
class
waste.
title is integrated solid waste. So is that correct title?
That is correct.
Thank you.
Register of Voters asked to get a salary increase to 3 positions. The committee did not recommend this request because it was a straight salary request, not a reclassification request. Special districts requested to reclassify their CMOM coordinators. The committee, I did that here too. The committee recommended to approve this recommendation there, and the cost to the budget for a CMOM coordinator 1 would be $4,129.20. Total cost to the budget $5,407.18. For the CMOM coordinator 2, it would be a difference of $2,246.40. Total cost to the budget would be $2,941.66. The committee did recommend this request. The treasurer tax collector made a recommendation to reclass 5 positions. We recommended the reclass of the accountant 1, 2 to auditor tax. The total cost of that is $4,659.20. Total cost of the budget is $18,303.66. They asked to reclassify their accountant 2 to an accountant 2 auditor tax. Total difference is $5,058.40. Total cost to the budget for that is $6,754.93. They also asked to reclassify their collection supervisor to an accountant 1, 2 senior. The cost for this is $3,140.80. Total cost to the budget is $4,112.88. Total cost for their allocated positions to the budget for these 3 positions, or these 3 positions, would be $29,171.47. The committee recommended these because these are reclasses, and it more closely mirrors what they're doing. The auditors, or the treasurer tax, also requested 2 other salary increases, which the committee recommended for non-approval because they were straight salary increases only. And that is the bulk of the request.
Anything further, Mr. Carter? No? Any questions on this item? So obviously last time we had a conversation, it was requested to bring this back in open session. My perspective has not changed, so I will be abstaining from the vote today. I think this needs to still be closed session. I also want to speak to, and I apologize for picking on this one, but it's the only one that I feel that I can speak to as it's management to management. When you look at the landfill manager going to solid waste, it says here, currently the landfill manager supervises 6 permanent heavy equipment operators, 2 permanent weightmasters, and approximately 5 extra help staff throughout the year. This supervision would remain the same with the new position. I added that little part. With the proposed increase to include supervision of a staff services specialist who currently reports directly to the public services director. And the cost to the budget is $15,000 for an additional 1 supervision. And I I don't know if there was a class and comp that was done to look at other counties, what are the costs, or if it was just a proposal and it was a yes or no. I see these types of things within the document, and I feel like there's a loophole for changing a position title versus looking at changing the salary, which allows for these to come back and say, it's not a salary change, it's a brand new position. And I struggle with this process versus, again, the closed session. And I'll leave it at that.
There were additional changes to the job description, which I would be happy to send back to you. So it wasn't just supervising the staff analyst. It was reporting in a myriad of activities that they would be taking on in addition. That's in the job description edits, that's not in his ask, that we went over during the class and comp committee.
Okay. And I appreciate that, but it's still just something that I needed to express on some of the things that are on here that I struggle with. And if there's no further, Vice Chair Crandall?
Yes, I see here, and I see that there was a denial for the behavioral health requests due to the request, but solely a request for salary increases. Are all these positions filled as of now? I didn't see if it said that.
No, there are some vacancies within those roles, but the Class and Comp Committee has traditionally, and if you look at the policy, it's not meant just to adjust salaries. We have other mechanisms for that. And because this was a straight ask for salary and not a reclass, we said no.
I see. Okay. Reclass, not increase. Okay, got it. I find those positions important, but I get the justification. I understand that I'm just making sure that I emphasize that. But it's important for behavioral health because we just had a testimony today of somebody who benefited from the BUILD program who was in a situation. So I know that has no weight here, but I just want to make sure that I emphasize that. But I understand.
Sure.
Thank
And
you.
that is consistent with past practices. We just said no to social services, kind of for a similar reason, that it was a straight salary ask and not a reclassification request.
No, I get it. It has no bearing here in this situation. It would be further down the line. So, okay, thanks.
Supervisor Green?
Yeah, I don't need a lengthy thing because I know this is not the agenda item, but for the denials in here, including those for the registrar that were deemed more of a compensation increase, but as stated in the request by the registrar, it made an argument. It wasn't a winning argument, but that in fact they were seeking a change in classification based on the work duties described by the registrar. So that got bumped down to this larger class and comp 2.0 or benching situation. So, and again, and that wasn't the only one. There were several other requests in here that also got shot down as straight up salary increases. So again, I just want to signal I did kind of struggle during this meeting as far as understanding the process. I dare say that more than one department head struggled with this process, and I don't know if that is something with our policy or the form that they're directed. I know they're under the gun to get this stuff done before budget. That said, if it got bumped down to this larger classification effort, it kind of, to me, kind of sucked some of the air and definitely sucked some of the proposed changes out of this effort. So, and I don't know really what I'm saying, but, do we have a timeline for whatever this latest benching thing is going to be, and when are we going to hear about when department
I think we
heads-
should discuss that offline, that particular topic.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if we look at the register of voters, it was a title change, no change in the actual duties. She just didn't agree with how they've been classified since the original comp and class study, but had an opportunity after that next cycle to review that. So you can't just change the title and expect an increase. So again, that's why the committee as a whole voted no, because it was a title change with no changes to the job description.
Okay, and when are we going to see those benches in this later process?
I'd really like to talk about that offline.
Thank you.
Mr. Sullivan, welcome.
Good afternoon. Thank you for considering our office's request before you today to approve providing equal pay to the accountants in our office. I do wish to provide additional information about the assistant treasurer tax collector position that was not included in the reclassification recommendation. The treasurer tax collector's office has the unique distinction of having shrunk in size over the last 20 years. The only comparable department I'm aware of that has had positions cut rather than added during that time. In the meantime, there's been a massive expansion of duties with limited resources. We've taken on the cannabis cultivation tax, cannabis business tax, TOT enforcement. We have all court-ordered debt, deferred comp, full-scale investment program, and tax auctions on a scale beyond what any other small county has done, as far as I'm aware. There are not many treasurer tax collector offices in the state that actually run all these programs, but we do here. Our office has suffered from constant turnover, especially in the last several years. Our pay scales were lower than comparable positions in other county departments without real opportunity for career growth. Other county departments with comparable functions were specially adjusted while this office was left behind. The damage done over time by this situation cannot be overstated, as a significant number of staff left our department for better opportunities in other county departments. The Board of Supervisors took significant steps to solve this problem last year when it increased the compensation of accounting technicians in our office to provide equal pay. The recommendation before you today to provide equal pay to the accountants in our office is a critical next step. So we really thank you for considering that. The assistant treasurer tax collector position has had to learn and now help manage all of the new programs referenced above. We added those new duties to the proposed job description, which I understand has been rejected by the committee. I'm not really clear where that leaves us going forward. This really doesn't make sense to me. I feel that the same logic that was applied to the other changes made to peer departments shares that same basis and for the steps your board has already taken. And I just want to point out sort of where things have left now. The assistant treasurer tax collector salary scale has now fallen behind the number 3 position in the auditor's office after all these adjustments have been made. The salary scale for this position now overlaps the number 4, number 5, and potentially a number 6 position in that office, especially considering the proposal today. So I don't begrudge anyone those increases. I applaud all efforts to move staff salaries forward. And I get we can't control external factors like our pay compared to other agencies, but I think we can control the internal imbalances, and that's what I'd really like consideration on. So I'm hoping that you please do not fix the problem for the remaining part of the staff without addressing the assistant treasurer tax collector. I just feel like the same logic applies to the duties she's performing, especially now after all the new programs we've had to take on. So thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Supervisor Pyska.
So is it the auditor's department that is closely aligned traditionally with the salaries of the treasurer tax collector?
That's what he's referring to, yes.
Okay, because there was a mention of similar departments and positions.
That's why the position is basically the auditor treasurer type
Auditor tax.
on the request.
Okay. But is the assistant tax collector that far below the comparable auditor positions?
Yes, it is. Pretty sure.
Yes?
Yes. But this particular.
No, I know that's not
Yeah.
the conversation we're
Yeah.
having today.
Yeah.
Sounds like we're going to need to have that conversation at some point, and it would be helpful when we get to that point to see some side-by-side comparisons for what should be comparable and equitable.
And that's what comes with.
The next
Steps.
steps. Okay.
Any further comments, questions?
I know it was mentioned, a comparison with behavioral health and social services. I see them as different in a way, and the reason I say that is because one, is upstream. One is meeting them like right where they're at their point that they need assistance. But I understand again that this is about the position allocation, so I'm just emphasizing that and making sure I specify why I brought this up.
Behavioral health and public health have a lot of very similar positions.
Oh, yeah.
So I have two last questions just to clear things up. On the last option in Accounting 1, reclass to Accounting 1 auditor / tax, is that what it's currently called, is Accounting 1 auditor tax, or is it just auditor right now and we're adding tax?
We're adding auditor tax so that it's the same classification that can be used in either department without adding another position in a series.
But the Accounting 1 auditor already exists.
Correct.
We're adding tax, but it's not changing the salary of the Accounting 1 auditor.
Correct.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure on that. And then the last one, and I appreciate the comments made by Vice Chair Crandall about behavioral health. Mental health RN, in my opinion, based on the vacancy list that you send me from time to time, is not a position that exists. When I type that up, I don't see it. I see an LVN. I see clinician, but I don't see RN itself. And so if that's not a salary change and it's a creation of a new...
It's not. I think it's just this chart is the way they requested it. We do have an RN in mental health. I would have to look up the exact title, but it is this pay code.
And it might not be something that's on a position allocation chart. That doesn't mean the position doesn't exist within our system.
Yeah, I know that in the vacancy list, it shows all the positions that have been allocated, whether they're filled or open. So I get to see all of the allocations that are there. But what you're saying is it might just be a job description that's somewhere in the existence.
Used to be there.
It just hasn't been allocated as that position. Okay.
I want to say, I think it's called a community health nurse. I'll look it up for you. It's just when they put in their request, I listed it how they put it in.
Yeah,
So I'll look up the title for you.
I would definitely appreciate that so I can link it up together. If there's nothing further, let's open it up for public comment. Anyone wish to speak on this item? Raise your hand in Zoom, coming up to the mic here in the chamber. Seeing none, let's bring it back to the board for action.
Mr. Chair, do I need to make an amendment too? Did we make a name change on here? Was there, no?
About the solid waste.
Yeah, the solid waste.
I think it's okay on the
The
resolution.
resolution
Okay.
should be fine.
Actually, there is no
There
resolution.
is no resolution, so
Recommended action?
I move to approve the CCRR class and comp, the CCRR recommendations and authorize the human resource to initiate the meet and confer process with the applicable employees associations as needed. Right?
And it would be as amended.
I think.
As amended.
Yes.
Yeah, since it's the only thing we have.
Okay.
We have a motion
Second.
and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any oppose? Any abstain? I abstain. Real quick, this will come back as a resolution for the ones that don't need to go through meet and greet.
Meet and greet.
You can convert.
Meet and greet.
Go ahead.
Yes, it will, once we have the meet and confer process done, it will come back to you.
At the very least, the position title changes will have to take effect on the position allocation chart.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Board.